Welcome to your deep dive. Today we're cracking open Jack Canfield's, treasure chest of success principles.
Oh, yeah.
We've got excerpts from his book that cover everything from like money and purpose to habits or relationships.
Right.
It's a lot, but we're here to help you sift through it and find the nuggets that, really resonate.
Yeah, think of this deep dive as like a workshop, not just a book report.
Okay.
We'll dig into the principles, dissect the stories, and, figure out how you can actually apply this wisdom to your life.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with one of the most fundamental and maybe even a little controversial ideas, taking 100% responsibility for our lives.
Right.
Canfield uses a simple formula to illustrate this. E plus R equals
Yeah.
O.
Okay.
Event plus response equals outcome.
Yeah, the formula's catchy, but it really makes you rethink that whole, victim mentality. It's not about denying the reality of, tough situations. It's about recognizing that we always have a choice in how we respond.
Right.
And that response is what shapes the outcome.
He uses a powerful example, the 1994 Northridge earthquake in Los Angeles.
Right.
The quake itself was the same for everyone,
Sure.
but the way people responded, well, that's where things got really interesting.
Yeah.
Some people focused on the inconvenience, the
Mhm.
disruption, even used it as a chance to complain.
Right.
But others saw it as an opportunity to help their neighbors to connect, to appreciate what they still had.
Absolutely.
Same event, drastically different outcomes.
And that's the crux of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
This principle isn't about blaming people for what happens to them.
Right.
It's about empowerment.
Okay.
It's saying, hey, you might not be able to control the events, but you can absolutely control your response.
All right.
And sometimes that shift in perspective is all it takes to start creating a different reality.
This next principle is one I think we can all relate to,
Yeah.
ditching the complaints.
Yeah.
Canfield says that people only complain about things they think they have the power to change,
Right.
even if it's subconsciously.
Yeah, it's like our internal system is sending up a flare.
He calls it a yellow alert.
Yeah.
And I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It's like life is giving you a little heads up before things go completely off the rails.
Right.
Pay attention to those complaints yours and the ones you hear from others, because they're often clues to where change is needed.
For sure.
This really makes me think about all the times I complain about being overwhelmed with work.
Yeah.
If I look at it through this lens, it's like I'm actually craving more control over my workload.
Okay.
Or maybe even a shift in how I approach my tasks.
Exactly. And once you see that complaint as a signal, you can start asking yourself some powerful questions.
Oh,
What specifically about your workload feels overwhelming? Is it the volume, the type of tasks, or maybe even a lack of clarity in your role?
right.
Once you pinpoint the source, you can start brainstorming solutions.
So for you listening, what are you complaining about these days? Maybe it's work or relationship or even just the weather. But instead of letting those complaints fester, try viewing them as yellow alerts, signals that you have the power to change something.
Exactly.
Ask yourself, what's one small action I could take today to shift this situation? Even just a tiny bit.
Yeah, you might be surprised at the ripple effect that one small change can create.
Now let's move into something a little more soul-searching.
Oh,
Discovering your unique purpose.
right.
Canfield provides a framework for defining this.
Yeah,
And it's not about finding some, grand preordained destiny out there.
right.
It's more about looking inward and connecting with what already exists within you.
Sure.
He breaks it down into 3 elements.
Mhm.
Your talents, your vision of an ideal world, and how you express harmony and love.
I like that.
He really drives home the point of not letting other people's doubts dim your light.
Okay.
He tells a story about his friend Monty Roberts, the horse whisperer,
Oh, wow.
who dreamed of owning a horse ranch.
Okay.
His high school teacher told him it was a ridiculous dream for a boy living in a camper truck. And that's the thing about unrealistic dreams.
Right.
Sometimes those who call them unrealistic are just projecting their own limitations.
Absolutely.
Monty held on to his dream, and his story is proof that those limitations are just that theirs, not yours.
It's inspiring for sure.
So how can you start uncovering your own purpose?
Yeah.
Canfield suggests taking those 3 elements he outlines, talents, ideal world, and expressions of harmony, and actually writing them down.
It's almost like creating your own personal mission statement,
Okay.
a guiding star to navigate those inevitable detours life throws your way.
Right?
Keep it somewhere visible,
Yeah.
your desk, your bathroom mirror, maybe even taped to your coffee maker, a constant reminder of what you're working towards.
Okay, onto something a little more intangible, but equally important, belief.
Okay.
Canfield is adamant that belief is a key ingredient for success.
Right.
He even goes as far as to say it can attract opportunities to you.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it goes beyond just thinking positive thoughts.
Right.
He's suggesting that the energy we put out, the vibrations of our beliefs, can actually shape the reality we experience.
Interesting.
He backs this up with the story of Ruben Gonzalez,
Oh.
the luge athlete who competed in the Olympics 3 times.
Wow.
What's really interesting is that Ruben wasn't considered the most talented athlete,
Right.
but his unwavering belief in himself and his sheer grit propelled him to achieve something truly remarkable.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It does.
What if every obstacle we encounter is actually an opportunity in disguise?
Oh, yeah.
Not just a chance to overcome something, but a chance to step into a greater version of ourselves.
Totally. It's like flipping the script on challenges,
Right.
turning setbacks into stepping stones.
Love it.
So instead of asking, why is this happening to me?
Right.
Maybe we should be asking, what is this teaching me?
Yeah.
Or what opportunity is hidden within this challenge?
That shift in perspective can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that we have more agency than we often realize.
Right.
Even when life throws us curveballs.
Yeah.
It's about choosing to be the hero of our own story, not the victim.
Speaking of stories, let's talk about setting goals that actually work.
Okay.
Canfield is all about taking action, and his 101 Goals Challenge is a prime example.
Right.
He urges you to write down 101 goals
Okay.
in vivid detail
Right.
and review them regularly.
Okay.
Not just a vague wish list,
Yeah.
but specific, tangible goals you can really sink your teeth into.
It's like creating a blueprint for the life you want to build.
Yes.
And the act of writing them down, of putting pen to paper, well, that's where the magic starts to happen.
Okay.
You're not just dreaming, you're actively engaging your subconscious mind, planting those seeds of intention.
Okay, but what about those pesky doubts,
Mm-hmm.
the fears and the roadblocks that inevitably pop up?
Yeah.
Canfield acknowledges those too.
Okay.
He breaks down the obstacles into 3 categories.
Yeah.
Considerations, fears, and roadblocks.
All right.
Considerations are the doubts and what-ifs that creep in. Fears are those internal voices of self-sabotage. And roadblocks are the external challenges that seem to stand in our way.
And he doesn't just say ignore them.
Right.
He says have a plan for each.
Okay.
He wants you to reframe those doubts as opportunities for growth.
Right.
Face your fears head on
Okay.
and get creative in overcoming roadblocks.
I see.
It's about being proactive, not passive, in shaping your reality.
He's right. Sometimes achieving big goals means we have to become bigger ourselves. You know,
Yeah.
we have to step outside of our comfort zones, challenge those limiting beliefs, and learn new skills.
Right.
He tells a story about a friend who lost everything in the Oakland fire.
Oh, wow.
It was devastating, but he realized that the knowledge and skills he'd gained were still within him.
Right.
He could rebuild,
Yeah.
and he did.
That story is so powerful because it reminds us that our inner resources, our resilience, our knowledge, those things can't be taken away.
Right.
They're the foundation we can always build upon no matter what life throws our way.
So for you listening, what are your considerations, fears, and roadblocks? Maybe it's fear of failure, lack of resources, or just feeling overwhelmed.
Sure.
Whatever it is, remember that small, consistent actions taken daily
Right.
can lead to massive results over time.
Yeah.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Absolutely. It's about finding the balance between dreaming big and taking those consistent baby steps
Right.
to make those dreams a reality,
Okay.
and celebrating those small wins along the way.
Canfield also tackles the feeling of overwhelm head-on.
Right.
He says, chunk it down.
Okay.
Break those seemingly massive goals into bite-sized pieces.
Right.
Tasks you can actually accomplish.
It's less daunting that way.
And it's so true.
Right.
The first step is often the hardest.
Yeah.
But once you take that first step, you gain momentum.
Exactly.
And focusing on those smaller tasks prevents you from getting paralyzed by the enormity of the overall goal.
Right.
He also challenges us to examine our comfort zones,
Okay.
viewing them as self-created prisons that limit our potential.
Yeah.
It's like we build these walls around ourselves and then wonder why we feel stuck.
Yeah. And he compares comfort zones to self-images.
Okay.
He talks about salespeople who limit their earnings because they have a fixed idea of how much they should earn in a month.
Right.
But if they expand that self-image,
Okay.
they open themselves up to so much more.
It's like we're limiting ourselves before we even start.
Yeah.
Canfield suggests that we can break out of these self-imposed prisons by consciously choosing to experience something better,
Sure.
even if it feels a little scary at first.
He tells a funny story about buying a more expensive shirt.
Okay.
It felt out of his comfort zone initially.
Right.
But then he realized, hey, this feels amazing.
Yeah.
Why was I limiting myself to those scratchy old shirts?
Yeah.
Once he got used to the better quality, his comfort zone expanded.
I love that.
Yeah.
So the takeaway here is, what's one thing you've been putting off because it feels too big or too overwhelming?
Right.
Break it down into tiny manageable steps
Yeah.
and tackle the first one today.
Yeah.
You might surprise yourself with what you're capable of.
Right. It's about building that momentum, proving to yourself that you can do hard things.
Yeah.
One small step at a time.
Okay, now we're getting into something that some people might consider a little woo-woo.
Okay.
But I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
The power of visualization.
Sure.
Canfield argues that it's not just wishful thinking.
Right.
It's a way to prime our brains for success.
Yeah, it's like creating a mental movie of achieving your goals.
Okay.
And what's fascinating is that research actually shows that our brains respond to visualization in a similar way to how they respond to real-life experiences.
Right.
So you're not just daydreaming, you're actively shaping your neural pathways.
Wow.
Yeah.
He outlines 3 key benefits of visualization. It activates the creative powers of your subconscious mind.
Okay.
It focuses your brain, making you more attuned to resources and opportunities.
Right.
And it actually helps attract those resources and opportunities you need to achieve your goals.
Yeah, it's not just about seeing the end result. Right.
It's about feeling it, embodying the emotions of success.
Right.
Canfield shares a great story about Olympic gymnast Tim Daggett,
Right.
whose team used visualization to prepare for their gold medal performance.
Oh, wow.
They would practice their routines in an empty gym, feeling the emotions of victory as if they were already standing on that podium.
That gives me chills.
Right.
I'm picturing it right now, and it makes so much sense,
Yeah.
right? You're not just training your body, you're training your mind to believe in the possibility of success.
Exactly. So close your eyes for a moment. Picture a goal you're working towards.
Okay.
What does success look like? What does it feel like?
Right.
Engage all your senses.
Okay.
What do you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch?
Right.
The more vividly you can experience it in your mind, the more likely you are to create it in your reality.
Okay, next up is a principle that I think is both empowering and a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Acting as if,
Canfield suggests that we can accelerate our progress towards our goals by starting to behave like the person we want to become,
right?
even before we see the proof in our external reality.
It's like stepping into the role you want to play,
Okay.
embodying the qualities of the person you aspire to be.
Right.
It might feel a little fake at first, but the idea is that by acting as if, you start to shift your mindset, your beliefs,
Right.
and even the opportunities that come your way.
He tells a great story about a party he attended where guests were asked to act as if it were 5 years in the future and all their dreams had come true.
Okay.
They dressed the part,
Wow.
talked about their accomplishments,
Right.
and celebrated each other's success.
Wow. It's like they created a collective reality bubble,
Right.
a space where anything felt possible.
It's about bridging the gap between your current reality and your desired reality
Yeah.
by aligning your actions and your beliefs with the person you want to become. It's a powerful reminder that we have the power to create our own reality. One thought, one action, one choice at a time.
Love it.
This makes me think about all the times I've hesitated to go after something because I didn't feel qualified or ready enough.
Sure.
But what if I just started acting as if I were already that person? How would that change my approach?
Right?
How would that change the opportunities I attract?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is.
What if we stopped waiting for permission to be who we want to be?
Right.
What if we just decided to step into that role even if it feels a little uncomfortable at first?
So for you listening, what's one action you could take today that aligns with your future self?
Right.
How would that person dress, talk, think, act?
Yeah.
Start embodying those qualities now, even in small ways,
Sure.
and see what happens.
You might be surprised at how quickly your external reality starts to reflect your internal shift.
Canfield then shifts gears to emphasize the importance of taking massive action.
Okay.
He argues that desire alone isn't enough. We must be willing to put in the effort to take those bold steps that move us closer to our goals.
He uses a simple but effective analogy. Imagine I hold up a $100 bill and ask who wants this.
Okay.
Everyone wants it, but only the person who takes action to claim it actually gets it.
Right.
It's the same with our dreams.
Yeah.
We might want them with all our hearts, But without action, they remain just that, dreams.
He also points out that persistence pays off.
Yeah.
Remember Ruben Gonzalez, the Olympic luger?
Right.
Well, he didn't just stumble into that sport.
Right.
He did meticulous research knowing his strength was perseverance.
Wow.
He chose luge because it had a high attrition rate.
Oh, wow.
He was betting on the fact that others would quit before him.
Interesting.
And he was right.
It's such a brilliant strategy, right?
Yeah.
Understanding your strengths and applying them strategically.
Right.
It's not just about working hard, it's about working smart.
So, challenge time for you listening.
Okay.
What's one action step you can take right now, today, towards a goal you've been putting off?
Yeah.
Don't wait for the perfect moment or for all the stars to align. Just take action
Exactly.
and adjust along the way.
Sometimes action is the best form of clarity.
Yes.
You'll figure out the next steps as you go.
And speaking of steps, let's talk about failure.
Okay.
Canfield's view on failure is refreshing.
All right.
He encourages us to embrace it, to see it as a necessary part of the learning process.
Yeah.
He even coined the term failing forward.
I like that.
He shares a story about a famous scientist who attributed his success to his willingness to experiment,
Okay.
which meant he experienced way more failures than the average person.
Right.
He saw failures not as setbacks, but as data points, valuable information that helped him refine his approach.
That makes you think, right?
It does.
What if we viewed our own failures as feedback, as opportunities to learn and grow?
Totally.
How would that change our relationship with risk?
Right.
Would we be more willing to step outside our comfort zones, to experiment, to try new things?
It's about shifting from a fear-based mindset to a growth-based mindset.
Absolutely.
It's about seeing those so-called failures, not as defeats, but as stepping stones on the path to success.
Love that.
Now let's talk about something that can be tough to swallow: rejection.
Okay.
But Canfield reframes this too, urging us to adopt a next mentality.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, don't let those no's define you.
Right.
Each one is simply bringing you closer to the right opportunity.
He shares the story of Janice Stanfield, a musician who was initially crushed when she couldn't get a record deal.
Okay.
But those rejections pushed her to create a more fulfilling path.
Right.
She ended up building a successful career on her own terms, and it was more aligned with her deeper purpose.
Yeah.
It's like the universe was nudging her towards something better,
Okay.
even if she couldn't see it at the time.
And sometimes those rejections are actually blessings in disguise, right?
Totally.
They might feel like setbacks in the moment,
Right.
but they often redirect us towards something more fulfilling, something more aligned with our true selves.
So think about the rejections you've experienced in your life. Have any of them led you to something better, something you might not have discovered otherwise?
Right.
Maybe it's a job, a relationship, or even just a change in perspective.
Absolutely.
It's worth pondering, isn't it?
Absolutely. Sometimes those closed doors lead us to the most beautiful detours.
Yeah.
It's about trusting the process,
Right.
even when we can't see the bigger picture.
Okay, let's talk about feedback.
Okay.
Canfield encourages us to actively seek it out, both the good and the bad.
Right.
He uses a great analogy: an airplane's autopilot system.
Okay.
The autopilot is constantly adjusting course based on feedback,
Right.
making tiny corrections to ensure a smooth flight.
It's not about getting things perfect the first time. It's about being open to feedback
Right.
and making adjustments along the way.
And he gives a great tip for soliciting feedback.
Okay.
Ask people you trust, how do you see me limiting myself?
That's a good one.
It's a powerful question because it invites honest feedback without feeling like a personal attack. Right.
It's about seeking out those blind spots, those areas where we might be holding ourselves back.
And that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
Feedback, even when it's critical, is ultimately a gift.
Right.
It gives us the information we need to grow, to learn, and to become even better versions of ourselves.
So who are the people in your life that you trust to give you honest feedback?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a mentor, a colleague, a friend, or even a family member.
Sure.
Whoever it is, make a conscious effort to ask for their perspective.
Absolutely.
You might be surprised by what you learn.
And remember, feedback isn't about being right or wrong. It's about growth and evolution.
Right.
It's about seeing ourselves more clearly,
Yeah.
both our strengths and our areas for improvement.
All right, next up is constant and never-ending improvement.
Okay.
Canfield's philosophy here is that even small, incremental improvements, when sustained over time,
Right.
can lead to remarkable results.
Yeah, he calls this the margin of greatness.
He uses a great example from the world of baseball.
Imagine two players whose batting averages differ by only a fraction of a point.
Right.
One might be considered good,
Oh.
while the other is hailed as a superstar.
That tiny margin makes all the difference.
But he argues that this principle applies to every area of life, not just sports.
Yeah.
The difference between good and great is often a commitment to that constant, never-ending improvement.
Absolutely.
He shares an example that really resonated with me.
Okay.
Vinod Khosla, the founding CEO of Sun Microsystems, tracks the number of times he gets home in time for dinner with his family
Oh, wow.
as a way to measure his success in maintaining work-life balance.
That's great.
It's not about being perfect, it's about setting a standard and striving to meet it.
I love that.
It's such a personal and meaningful way to define success.
For sure.
So for you listening, what area of your life could you commit to improving 1% each day? Maybe it's your health, your relationships, your skills, your finances, or your mindset.
Right.
Remember, small changes add up,
Yeah.
just like with compound interest. Those tiny improvements will compound over time,
Absolutely.
leading to significant progress.
Yeah. You might not see the changes day to day, but looking back, you'll be amazed at how far you've come.
Canfield then challenges us to go above and beyond in everything we do to exceed expectations, to create those wow moments that make us stand out from the crowd.
I like that.
He shares some inspiring examples,
Okay.
including the story of Mike Kelly, who went above and beyond to demonstrate the benefits of aloe vera to his customers.
Right.
He wasn't just selling a product,
Right.
he was providing a solution. And that dedication to customer service built his reputation and his business.
Yeah, he wasn't just meeting expectations, he was exceeding them.
And Canfield highlights companies like Ritz-Carlton and Nordstrom,
Okay.
known for their exceptional service.
Right.
They're not just selling a product or a service.
Yeah.
They're creating an experience, a feeling, a memory.
It's about approaching every interaction, whether it's with a customer, a colleague, or even a stranger on the street, as an opportunity to make a positive impact. It's about going the extra mile, not because we have to,
Right.
but because we want to.
So where could you go above and beyond today?
Right.
What small act of generosity or thoughtfulness could you do that would create a wow moment for someone?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be grand.
Yeah.
It's the thought and the effort that count.
It could be as simple as sending a handwritten thank you note, offering to help a colleague with a task,
Right.
or making a donation to a cause you care about.
Okay.
It's about those small acts of kindness that ripple outwards, creating positive energy that benefits everyone.
Okay, let's dive into the importance of curating our inner circle.
Okay.
Canfield is a firm believer in the power of the company. We keep arguing that the people we surround ourselves with have a profound impact on our mindset,
Right.
our beliefs, and ultimately our success.
He shares a story about John Asraf, who, despite a challenging childhood and early setbacks, learned from a group of successful entrepreneurs in a sauna
What?
that success is not limited by background, but by mindset.
Oh, wow.
It was a pivotal moment for him, realizing that success is contagious and so is failure.
It's like we absorb the energy of the people we spend time with, right?
Absolutely.
If we surround ourselves with negativity, we're more likely to adopt a negative outlook. But if we surround ourselves with positivity,
Right.
with people who believe in us and support our dreams well, that energy rubs off on us.
And it's not just about proximity.
Right.
It's about intention.
Okay.
We have a choice in who we allow into our lives, so it's important to be mindful of the company we keep.
Right.
Minimize contact with those psychic vampires,
Okay.
the people who drain your energy and bring you down.
Right.
Instead, prioritize relationships that nourish and uplift you.
He offers 2 actionable steps that I think are brilliant. Identify 3 people who inspire and uplift you,
Okay.
and then schedule time to connect with them more regularly.
It's so simple, but so powerful.
Right.
It's about being intentional with our relationships,
Right.
choosing to spend time with people who support our growth
Okay.
and who reflect the qualities we aspire to embody.
And on that note, let's talk about appreciation.
Okay.
Canfield emphasizes the importance of expressing genuine appreciation,
Right.
not just for the big things, but for the small things too.
Sure.
He argues that people crave acknowledgement,
Yeah.
and noticing and appreciating the good in others can have a profound impact.
He even suggests making it a daily practice with the mirror exercise.
Okay.
Stand in front of the mirror
Yeah.
and recite affirmations that express self-love and gratitude.
I see.
It might feel a little awkward at first,
Sure.
but the idea is to reprogram your subconscious mind for success.
It's about shifting from a mindset of lack to a mindset of abundance,
Exactly.
recognizing and appreciating the good that's already present in our lives.
For sure.
So for you listening, who are you grateful for today? And what specific action could you take to show them your appreciation?
It could be a phone call, a text message, a handwritten note, a small gift,
Right.
or even just a sincere expression of gratitude.
It's a thought that counts.
Absolutely.
Canfield also reminds us that keeping our agreements is a crucial part of building trust and attracting opportunities.
Right.
It's not about overcommitting and spreading ourselves too thin.
Sure.
It's about making fewer commitments
Okay.
and honoring the ones we do make.
He asks a thought-provoking question in his book.
Okay.
If you were offered $1 million to follow the rules of a seminar for its entire duration,
Okay.
could you do it?
Probably.
Most people answer yes.
Right.
So why don't we apply that same level of commitment to the agreements we make in our everyday lives?
That's a good question, right?
Yeah,
It suggests that we often have the capacity to keep our agreements when the stakes are high enough.
absolutely.
The challenge is to cultivate that same level of integrity in all our interactions,
Right.
even the seemingly small ones.
Your word is your bond.
Yes.
When you're known for being reliable, for following through on your commitments, people trust you and opportunities flow.
And on that note, we'll take a pause here and pick up with the rest of Jack Canfield's success principles in part 2 of this deep dive.
Picking up where we left off, let's explore this idea of being a class act. Canfield emphasizes that it's not about, fancy clothes, expensive cars, or even knowing which fork to use at a fancy dinner.
Right, it's about character.
Right,
It's
absolutely.
those inner qualities that really shine through.
Yeah,
Integrity,
Yeah.
kindness, respect, those things that make someone truly stand out, regardless of their background or their bank account.
he gives some great examples of people he considers class acts, like Jimmy Stewart, Tom Hanks, Denzel Washington, Coretta Scott, King, Nelson Mandela, people who are known not just for their accomplishments,
Right.
but for the way they treat others.
I love that his examples are so diverse.
Yeah.
It shows that being a class act isn't limited to any particular profession, social status, or background. It's about those universal values that make us better human beings.
Absolutely. And Canfield's friend Dan Sullivan actually developed a framework of 7 principles for what it means to be a class act.
What?
It's a pretty comprehensive guide for living with intention and making a positive impact on the world.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What are those 7 principles?
Well, the first is to operate from a higher purpose.
Okay.
It's about aligning your actions with something bigger than yourself, whether it's a personal mission, a commitment to a cause, or simply a desire to make the world a better place.
And the second principle is to treat all people with dignity and respect. Regardless of their background, their beliefs, or even their behavior. It's about recognizing the inherent worth in every human being.
The third principle is to always do the right thing, even when no one is watching. This one's all about integrity.
Okay.
It's about living in alignment with your values and doing what you know is right, even when it's tough or inconvenient.
And the fourth principle is to be impeccable with your word. This echoes that idea of keeping our agreements that we talked about earlier.
Right.
It's about being someone whose word is their bond, someone who can be trusted to follow through on their promises.
The fifth principle is to exhibit gratitude and appreciation to everyone.
Okay.
This one's about recognizing and acknowledging the good in others, even in those small, everyday moments.
Yeah.
A simple thank you or a genuine compliment can go a long way.
I'm a big believer in gratitude. It's amazing how expressing appreciation, even for the little things,
Right.
can shift your whole perspective and brighten someone's day.
And the sixth principle is to continuously improve your skills and character. This one's all about a commitment to lifelong learning and growth.
Okay.
It's about never settling for mediocrity and always striving to be a better version of ourselves.
I love that it's about embracing that growth mindset,
Yeah.
seeing challenges as opportunities for learning and expansion.
And the seventh and final principle is to be an inspiration to others.
Okay.
It's about living in a way that uplifts and motivates others, demonstrating through our actions that anything is possible.
That's a pretty high bar, but I love it.
Yeah.
It's about being a beacon of possibility, showing others what's possible when we live with intention and integrity.
Absolutely. And remember, being a class act isn't about perfection.
Right.
It's about progress.
Okay.
It's about making a conscious effort to embody these principles a little more each day.
So for you listening, What's one small action you could take today to embody one of these class act principles?
Right.
Maybe it's sending a thank you note to someone who's helped you, offering a genuine compliment to a coworker, or simply being more patient and understanding in your interactions.
Those small gestures of kindness and integrity can make a bigger impact than you might realize.
Now let's shift gears and dive into the world of money consciousness.
Okay.
Canfield argues that our subconscious beliefs about money often shape our financial reality.
Right.
He says we all carry these hidden money script stories we tell ourselves about wealth, poverty, and what's possible for us.
He points out that many of us hold limiting beliefs about money that we might not even be aware of. Beliefs like money is the root of all evil, or rich people are greedy, or even I'll never be able to afford that.
And he's right. So many of us have these subconscious blocks around money.
Yeah.
It's like we're programmed to believe that wealth is somehow out of reach, that it's only for other people, not for us.
And those beliefs, even if they're not true, can become self-fulfilling prophecies.
Right?
They can hold us back from taking risks, pursuing opportunities, and creating the financial abundance we desire.
So how do we break free from these limiting beliefs? Canfield suggests starting by simply becoming aware of them. Pay attention to your self-talk around money.
Okay.
What are the stories you tell yourself?
Right.
What are the assumptions you make?
Yeah.
Once you've identified those limiting beliefs, you can start to challenge them.
Ask yourself, is this belief really true?
Okay.
What evidence do I have to support it?
Right.
Where did this belief come from?
Yeah.
Is it serving me or holding me back?
And once you've challenged those limiting beliefs, you can start to replace them with more empowering beliefs.
Right.
This is where affirmations can be incredibly powerful.
Right.
For example, if you've been telling yourself, I'm not good with money,
Okay.
start affirming, I am a money magnet. Wealth flows into my life easily and effortlessly.
It might feel silly at first,
Right.
but the more you repeat those affirmations, the more deeply they sink into your subconscious mind, and the more you start to believe them.
Canfield also emphasizes the power of visualization.
Sure.
He suggests creating a clear and vivid picture in your mind of what financial abundance looks like for you.
Okay.
Imagine yourself achieving your financial goals and experiencing the feelings of joy, freedom, and security that come with it.
Don't just visualize the end goal. Visualize the steps you'll take to get there.
Right.
Imagine yourself getting a promotion, closing a big deal, launching a successful business, or simply managing your money with confidence and ease.
He even recommends incorporating all your senses into the visualization,
Yep.
making it as real and tangible as possible. Imagine what it feels like to hold a large sum of money in your hands,
Okay.
what it smells like to be in a luxurious car or home,
Right.
what it sounds like to hear the cheers of a crowd as you achieve a financial milestone.
The more real you make it, the more your brain starts to believe it's possible.
You're right.
And the more likely you are to attract those experiences into your reality.
Canfield also encourages us to calculate the cost of our ideal lifestyle,
Okay.
both now and in the future.
Right.
This helps to give us a clear financial target to aim for.
Absolutely.
Break down the costs into specific categories.
Yeah.
Housing, transportation, travel, education, hobbies, philanthropy, whatever's important to you.
Once you have a clear picture of what your dream life costs,
Right.
you can start to develop a financial plan to achieve it.
It's about taking those dreams out of the realm of fantasy
Right.
and turning them into concrete goals with a clear roadmap for achievement.
And Canfield reminds us that most millionaires didn't win the lottery or inherit their fortunes. They built their wealth through hard work, smart habits, and consistent effort.
So if you want to create financial abundance, start by adopting those same habits.
Absolutely.
Develop a budget, track your expenses, save a portion of your income, invest wisely, and manage your debt responsibly.
It's not about being perfect or depriving yourself. It's about making conscious choices that support your financial goals.
Canfield also encourages us to shift our mindset from making a living to making a fortune.
Okay.
He argues that true wealth comes from creating value for others
Right.
and finding ways to leverage your skills and talents to generate income beyond a traditional job.
He talks about embracing the entrepreneurial spirit,
Okay.
looking for unmet needs in the marketplace, and finding creative ways to fill those needs.
Right.
He shares the story of Mike Milliorn, who created Day Dots,
Okay.
a system of color-coded labels to track food freshness,
Okay.
turning a simple solution to a common problem into a multi-million-dollar business.
It's a great example of how a simple idea, combined with hard work, determination, and a willingness to take risks, can lead to extraordinary success.
He also highlights the story of the Diston Fields, who saw that many people were intimidated by the legal system and couldn't afford traditional legal services.
Right.
They created We the People, a company that provides affordable legal services, making legal representation accessible to those who might not otherwise have access to it.
Their company has grown to serve over 500,000 customers in the last decade.
Wow.
Their story shows that successful businesses often come from a genuine desire to help people and make a difference.
Canfield challenges us to look at the traditional model of working for someone else and consider the possibility of building our own businesses.
Right.
He shares the story of Dave Liniger, who was frustrated with the traditional real estate industry and its limitations on agents' earning potential. He created RE/MAX, a company that gives real estate agents more independence and the ability to keep a larger percentage of their commissions.
RE/MAX has become a global network with over 92,000 agents. Dave's story is a reminder that success often comes from challenging the status quo and creating a better way of doing things.
Canfield also highlights network marketing, a business model that allows people to build their own businesses by selling products through a network of distributors. He shares the story of Tony and Randy Escobar, who joined Isagenix, a network marketing company specializing in nutritional products. Their success was exceptional, earning almost $2 million a year in less than 2 years.
Wow.
But their story illustrates the potential of network marketing for those willing to put in the effort.
So if you're looking for a way to supplement your income or build a full-time business, network marketing might be an option worth exploring.
Canfield emphasizes that success in any business requires more than just a good idea. It also requires hard work, dedication, a willingness to learn and grow, and a commitment to providing value to others.
He encourages us to identify our strengths, seek out mentors and advisors, and continually improve our skills and knowledge.
Canfield then shifts gears to talk about the power of giving. He argues that contributing to causes we care about not only makes a difference in the world, but can actually increase our abundance.
He introduces the principle of tithing, which involves giving back a portion of our income.
He suggests that it aligns our energy with abundance and attracts even greater blessings into our lives.
He highlights the example of Chicken Soup for the Soul's philanthropic efforts, where millions of dollars have been donated to charities, demonstrating the ripple effect of generosity.
He also shares the story of Bob Proctor, who initially resisted the concept of tithing, but later experienced significant financial abundance after he started tithing consistently.
Canfield emphasizes that giving isn't just about money. It's about aligning our energy with abundance and making a positive difference.
It's about recognizing that we live in an abundant universe, and that the more we give, the more we receive.
So what causes are you passionate about? How could you contribute your time, your talents, or your resources to make a difference?
It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Every act of giving, no matter how small, contributes to a more loving and abundant world.
Now let's talk about masterminding. Canfield believes that surrounding ourselves with a supportive group of like-minded individuals can supercharge our progress toward our goals.
It's like the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
He highlights the power of synergy, suggesting that when people come together with a shared purpose and a commitment to supporting each other, they create a force greater than the sum of their parts.
Canfield recommends forming or joining a mastermind group. A small group of people who meet regularly to share ideas, brainstorm solutions, offer feedback, and hold each other accountable.
He suggests that mastermind groups provide a powerful source of support, encouragement, and accountability, helping members overcome obstacles, stay motivated, and achieve their goals more effectively.
He suggests a format for these meetings, starting with a moment of reflection to set a positive tone, followed by sharing successes and wins to celebrate progress and build momentum.
And then members can raise challenges and ask for support,
Yeah.
tapping into the collective wisdom of the group.
Brainstorming solutions and offering feedback help generate creative ideas and perspectives.
Okay.
Finally, members set action steps and make commitments to ensure the meeting leads to tangible results.
Canfield emphasizes that mastermind groups are most effective when members are committed, present, and supportive of each other unconditionally.
He also suggests that mastermind groups can be formed around any shared interest or goal.
Okay.
Whether it's business, personal growth, creative pursuits, or anything else that brings people together with a common purpose.
So if you're looking to accelerate your progress towards your goals, consider forming or joining a mastermind group.
Yeah.
It could be one of the most valuable investments you make in your personal and professional development.
Now let's dive into the realm of intuition. Canfield argues that our intuition is a valuable source of guidance and wisdom that can help us make better decisions and navigate challenges more effectively.
He suggests that our intuition is often a subtle voice that speaks to us through our thoughts, feelings, and even our body sensations.
Right.
It's that gut feeling, that inner knowing that sometimes defies logic,
Yeah.
but often leads us in the right direction.
Canfield encourages us to pay attention to those subtle cues.
Right.
Those gut feelings, those flashes of insight that often arise when we're facing a decision or a challenge.
He shares his own experience with meditation,
Okay.
which helped him to quiet his mind and become attuned to his inner voice.
Canfield suggests creating space for solitude and reflection in our lives,
Okay.
as this can help us tune out the noise of the external world and listen more deeply to our inner guidance.
He also recommends keeping a journal to track our intuitive hits and misses.
Okay.
By paying attention to the patterns of our intuition,
Right.
we can become more attuned to its voice and more confident in following its guidance.
Canfield shares the story of Madeline Boletta,
Cool.
who founded Be Alive, a company that sells royal jelly products.
Okay.
Madeline credits her success to her willingness to listen to her intuition and follow its guidance, even when it led her in unconventional directions.
For example, when Madeline's business was struggling, her accountant advised her to close shop.
Okay.
But her intuition told her otherwise. She felt a strong urge to invest her remaining funds in radio advertising,
Wow.
a decision that defied logic at the time,
Right.
but turned out to be a pivotal turning point for her business.
Madeline's story is a powerful reminder that our intuition can guide us to make bold decisions that might not make sense on paper,
Right.
but ultimately lead to extraordinary outcomes.
So how can you start tapping into your own intuition?
Right.
Canfield suggests a simple practice. Set aside a few minutes each day to sit quietly and ask yourself a question.
Okay.
It could be about a decision, a challenge, or anything you need clarity on.
As you sit quietly, pay attention to any thoughts, feelings, or sensations that arise. Don't try to force an answer. Simply observe what emerges.
You might be surprised by the insights that come when you create space for your intuition to speak.
Canfield also encourages us to experiment and trust our intuition even when it leads us in unexpected directions.
Right.
He reminds us that the path to success is rarely linear,
Yeah.
and that sometimes the most unconventional choices lead to the most remarkable results.
So what intuitive nudges have you been ignoring?
Right.
What would it take to start paying attention to those whispers of wisdom
Yeah.
and act on them?
Now let's shift our focus to listening. Canfield emphasizes that truly listening to others isn't just about hearing their words.
Right.
It's about understanding their perspective, their feelings, and their needs.
It's about being present, attentive, and truly seeking to understand.
Right.
Not just waiting for your turn to speak.
He argues that deep listening is the foundation of strong relationships, effective communication, and successful collaborations.
Canfield shares the story of Tom Crum, a former world champion athlete and master of the martial art of Aikido.
Wow.
Tom taught him the importance of listening with the whole body,
I like that.
which involves paying attention not just to the words someone is saying,
Okay.
but also to their body language, tone of voice, and energy.
It's about tuning into those nonverbal cues, the
Right.
subtle shifts in posture, the flicker of an eyelid, the way someone holds their breath.
Canfield suggests that by listening with our whole body,
Yeah.
we can gain a much deeper understanding of what someone is really communicating, both verbally and non-verbally.
He emphasizes asking clarifying questions,
Okay.
reflecting back what we've heard, and acknowledging the other person's feelings.
Canfield provides an example of how asking the right questions can deepen communication.
Okay.
He shared a story about asking his sister 4 simple questions.
All right, what are those?
What are your hopes and dreams for the future? What are you passionate about?
Okay.
What are your greatest challenges right now?
Okay.
What support do you need to achieve your goals?
He was amazed by how those simple questions unlocked such a deep and meaningful conversation,
Wow.
leading to greater clarity, connection, and a sense of mutual support.
It highlights the power of asking open-ended questions
Great.
that invite others to share their perspectives and experiences.
Canfield also emphasizes the importance of listening without interrupting, judging, or offering unsolicited advice.
Right.
Sometimes the most helpful thing we can do is create a safe space for someone to be heard and feel understood.
It's about putting aside our own agendas
Right.
and truly focusing on the other person,
Yeah.
allowing them to express themselves fully without feeling judged or interrupted.
So how can you improve your listening skills?
Okay.
Start by setting the intention to truly listen to the next person you interact with.
Okay.
Put aside your own thoughts and distractions and focus on understanding their perspective.
Right.
Notice their body language, their tone of voice, and the energy they're projecting.
Ask clarifying questions. Reflect back what you've heard and acknowledge their feelings.
Yeah.
Resist the urge to interrupt, judge, or offer unsolicited advice. Simply be present, attentive, and receptive.
Absolutely.
You might be surprised by what you learn
Yeah.
and the deeper connections you forge.
Canfield introduces the concept of heart talks.
Okay.
Structured conversations designed to foster deeper connection and understanding between two or more people.
He suggests that heart talks can be helpful when there's been conflict, miscommunication, or a lack of emotional intimacy.
Okay.
The format involves creating a safe space where everyone feels comfortable sharing openly and honestly.
Yeah.
Each person takes turns speaking uninterrupted, focusing on their thoughts, feelings, and needs without blaming or judging the other person.
Okay.
After each person speaks, there's a dialogue to clarify misunderstandings, express empathy, and find common ground.
Canfield shares a story about a family business where tensions had been brewing between two brothers and their wives.
Okay.
They held a heart talk to address the issues and create a more harmonious work environment. It allowed them to express their feelings, clarify their needs, and find ways to support each other more effectively.
It's amazing how a structured conversation can create such a powerful shift in dynamics.
Right.
Canfield suggests that heart talks can be used in various settings,
Yeah.
including families, workplaces, and communities. He encourages us to experiment with this tool for communication and connection.
So is there a relationship in your life that could benefit from a heart talk?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What would it take to create that safe space for open and honest communication?
Now let's talk about a principle that can be a bit uncomfortable,
Okay.
but is ultimately freeing,
Right.
telling the truth faster.
Sure.
Canfield argues that honesty, even when it's uncomfortable,
Right.
is essential for building trust, resolving conflict, and creating authentic relationships.
It's about having those tough conversations sooner rather than later, right?
Oh, right.
Instead of avoiding those difficult topics, hoping they'll just magically disappear, we tackle them head on with compassion and respect, of course.
He suggests that we often delay telling the truth.
Right.
Because we're afraid of hurting others' feelings, damaging relationships, or creating conflict.
Right.
But those fears often lead us to avoid those conversations,
Sure.
which can ultimately create more problems in the long run.
It's like we're sweeping those issues under the rug,
Right.
and eventually that rug gets so lumpy that we trip over it.
He encourages us to make it a habit to tell the truth sooner rather than later, even when it's uncomfortable,
Right.
and to frame that truth in a way that's compassionate and respectful,
Okay.
while still being clear and direct.
Canfield shares a story about a consulting project where he and his team were asked to develop a program for welfare recipients.
Yeah.
They discovered that the existing program was actually discouraging people from finding jobs,
Oh, wow.
which was the opposite of its intended purpose.
They knew they had to tell their client the truth,
Right.
even though it was likely to be met with resistance. They presented their findings in a clear, compelling way, focusing on the data and the potential benefits of a new approach.
And to their surprise, their client was receptive
Oh, wow.
and appreciated their honesty. The new program they developed was so successful, it was adopted by other welfare programs and even used as a pre-release program for prisons.
Wow.
Their story shows that even difficult truths, when delivered with integrity and good intentions, can lead to positive outcomes.
Canfield addresses the common excuse of, I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right.
Suggesting that this is often a way to protect ourselves from discomfort rather than truly considering the other person's well-being. He argues that honesty, when delivered with compassion and respect, is ultimately more beneficial
Yeah.
than avoiding those conversations or sugarcoating the truth.
So is there a situation in your life where you've been delaying telling the truth?
Yeah, that's a good one to think about.
What would it take to have that conversation, even if it feels uncomfortable?
Right.
What might the benefits be, both for yourself and for the other person?
Now let's talk about speaking with impeccability,
Okay.
which involves being mindful of the power of our words
Right.
and choosing to speak in a way that's truthful, kind, and uplifting.
Our words have a ripple effect, don't they?
They do.
They can create or destroy, inspire or discourage, build bridges or build walls.
It's a reminder to use our words consciously and intentionally.
Absolutely. Canfield shares a story about a woman he met at a seminar
Okay.
who seemed hostile and withdrawn.
Okay.
He was tempted to focus on her negativity,
Right.
but he realized that doing so would detract from the experience for everyone else.
Yeah.
Instead, he made a conscious effort to speak to her with kindness and respect, even though he didn't particularly feel like it.
And what happened? Did his approach make a difference?
To his surprise, she eventually warmed up and became an active participant in the seminar. Her story highlights the transformative power of choosing to speak with impeccability,
Okay.
even when faced with negativity or resistance.
It's like we have this incredible power to shift the energy of a situation with our words. By choosing kindness, compassion, and understanding, we can create a more positive and harmonious outcome.
So how can we practice speaking with impeccability?
Right.
Start by paying attention to your self-talk. Notice those negative or judgmental thoughts and make an effort to replace them with positive affirmations.
And when speaking to others, choose your words, carefully strive to communicate in a way that's truthful, kind, and respectful. Avoid gossiping, complaining, or engaging in those negative downward spirals.
Right.
Instead, focus on speaking words that uplift, inspire, and create connection.
Canfield then introduces a principle he calls the 15% rule,
Okay.
which involves challenging our assumptions and gathering all the facts before making decisions or taking action.
It's about not jumping to conclusions, right?
Right.
Taking the time to really understand the situation before we react or make a decision.
He shares the story of Tim Ferriss,
Okay.
who won a national kickboxing championship with just 6 weeks of training.
Wow.
Tim achieved this by studying the rules and identifying a loophole. He realized he could win matches by throwing his opponents out of the ring, rather than trying to knock them out.
That's brilliant. It's a great example of thinking outside the box, challenging assumptions, and finding creative solutions that others might overlook.
Canfield also shares a story about a consulting project where his team assumed they knew the target market for a new product. After conducting research, they discovered their assumptions were way off.
So they had to go back to their client and admit they'd been working with faulty information. That takes courage, but it's the responsible thing to do.
And to their credit, their client appreciated their honesty
Right.
and was willing to adjust the marketing strategy based on the new data. These stories highlight the importance of gathering all the facts,
Right.
challenging those assumptions, and being willing to course correct when necessary.
So the takeaway here is to ask ourselves, what am I assuming about this situation that might not be true?
Yeah.
And what information do I need to gather to make a truly informed decision?
By challenging those assumptions and getting all the facts, we can avoid costly mistakes, make better decisions, and increase our chances of success.
Canfield then encourages us to practice what he calls uncommon appreciation,
Okay.
which involves going beyond those ordinary expressions of gratitude and finding truly meaningful ways to acknowledge and celebrate the good in others.
He argues that most people crave appreciation, but rarely receive it in a way that really resonates.
It's not just about saying thank you. It's about expressing appreciation in a way that feels genuine, specific, and heartfelt.
Canfield shares a story about how he sent flowers to Randy Zeitlin Feldman,
Okay.
who created a slideshow for the 10th anniversary of Chicken Soup for the Soul. Randy was so touched by this gesture that she sent him an email with the subject line, "I have never felt so appreciated."
It's those little things,
Yeah.
those unexpected gestures of appreciation that can really make someone's day, week, or even year.
Canfield also emphasizes the importance of appreciating ourselves.
Right. It's so easy to get caught up in that negative self-talk.
Right.
That inner critic that's always pointing out our flaws and downplaying our achievements.
He encourages us to practice self-appreciation,
Okay.
taking time to celebrate our wins big and small, and to acknowledge our efforts and progress.
It's about being our own best cheerleaders, recognizing and celebrating how far we've come
Yeah.
and all that we've accomplished.
He suggests some simple practices for cultivating self-appreciation, like writing a daily success-focused journal,
Okay.
where we record our accomplishments and reflect on the positive impact we're making in the world.
Okay.
He also recommends that mirror exercise we talked about earlier.
Right. It's about shifting our focus from what we're lacking to what we're grateful for,
Absolutely.
recognizing all the good that's already present in our lives.
Canfield emphasizes that practicing appreciation, both for ourselves and for others, creates a positive ripple effect, fostering stronger relationships, boosting morale, and creating a more harmonious and joyful environment.
So who could you show appreciation to today? What specific action could you take to express your gratitude in a way that truly resonates?
And don't forget to appreciate yourself.
Yeah.
What have you accomplished today that deserves to be acknowledged and celebrated?
Now let's talk about cleaning up incompletes. This might not sound as glamorous as some of the other principles we've discussed, but Canfield argues that it's crucial for our well-being and success.
He's talking about those unfinished tasks, unkept promises, and unresolved issues that can weigh us down and drain our energy.
Yeah, we all have those things, right? The projects we started but never finished, the emails we meant to respond to, the conversations we've been avoiding.
Canfield suggests that we often procrastinate on dealing with these incompletes. Because we're afraid of the potential consequences such as confrontation, disappointment, or even failure. But he argues that these fears are often unfounded. And the relief and freedom that come from cleaning up those incompletes far outweigh the discomfort of dealing with them.
It's like taking out the trash, right? It might not be the most enjoyable task, but once it's done, you feel so much lighter and freer.
He provides a comprehensive list of common incompletes, unfinished projects, unpaid bills, unreturned phone calls, unfulfilled promises, unresolved conflicts, all those things that we know we should deal with, but keep putting off.
He also offers a powerful tool called the Total Truth Letter. It involves writing a letter to someone we're upset with, expressing our feelings and our perspective on the situation.
Canfield emphasizes that the purpose of this letter isn't necessarily to send it, but rather to process our own emotions and release any resentment or anger we might be holding on to.
It's about getting those feelings out of our heads and onto paper, which can be incredibly cathartic.
He does suggest that if the other person is open to it, sharing the letters and having a dialogue about the issues can be a powerful way to resolve conflict and repair relationships.
Canfield emphasizes that cleaning up incompletes frees up our energy.
Absolutely.
And allows us to move forward with greater clarity, peace, and purpose.
It's like clearing out the clutter to make space for new possibilities.
So what incompletes are you holding on to? What would it take to start tackling them one by one? What would the benefits be both for yourself and your relationships?
What would the benefits be both for yourself and for your relationships?
Now let's talk about those sneaky assumptions that can really hold us back, those limiting beliefs. Canfield says we all have them.
He defines them as these deeply held, often subconscious beliefs that limit our potential. And what's tricky is they often stem from past experiences, societal conditioning, or, things we were told when we were younger.
So it's like we're carrying around this baggage from our past. And it's affecting how we see ourselves in the world. And what's even crazier is that even if these beliefs aren't true, they can become self-fulfilling prophecies.
Exactly. If you believe you're not good enough or you'll never be successful, you're less likely to, take risks or go after your dreams. And then when things don't work out, it just reinforces that limiting belief. It's a vicious cycle.
So how do we break free from these limiting beliefs? Canfield offers a 4-step process for turning those negative beliefs into empowering ones.
The first step is identifying the limiting belief. It's about paying attention to your self-talk, noticing those recurring thought patterns that trigger feelings of fear, self-doubt, or inadequacy.
So if you catch yourself thinking things like, I'm not good enough, or I'll never be successful.
Those are likely limiting beliefs that are holding you back.
Once you've identified the belief, the next step is to explore how it's limiting you.
Ask yourself, what am I not doing or not experiencing because of this belief?
For example, if you believe I'm not creative, you might avoid pursuing artistic hobbies or, exploring creative solutions at work. You're basically shutting yourself off from a whole world of possibilities.
Exactly. The third step is to define how you want to be, act, or feel. This involves creating a new, more empowering belief that aligns with your goals and aspirations.
So instead of I'm not creative, you could choose to believe I'm a creative person and I express my creativity in my own unique way.
It's about reframing that belief, focusing on what's possible instead of what's not.
And the final step is to create a turnaround statement that affirms your new belief.
This is a positive, empowering statement that you repeat to yourself regularly to reprogram your subconscious mind.
It's like planting a seed of that new belief in your mind and watering it with repetition. The more you repeat that turnaround statement, the more deeply it sinks in, and the more likely you are to start acting in alignment with that new belief.
He suggests repeating your turnaround statement several times a day, writing it down, recording it, and even visualizing yourself embodying the qualities you're affirming. It's about making that new belief a part of your everyday life, integrating it into your thoughts, feelings, and actions.
It's amazing how much power our minds have, isn't it? We can literally reprogram our brains for success by consciously choosing to focus on positive, empowering beliefs.
Now let's shift gears and talk about habits. Canfield argues that our habits can either support or sabotage our success. He points out that our habits are basically automatic behaviors we've developed over time, often without even realizing it.
It's like we're operating on autopilot, going through the motions without really thinking about what we're doing or why we're doing it.
And while some habits are beneficial, like exercising regularly, eating healthy foods, or getting enough sleep, others can be detrimental to our well-being and our progress toward our goals.
Like procrastination, overeating, negative self-talk, or, spending more money than you earn. These habits can create a cycle of stress, frustration, and setbacks that can be hard to break free from.
The first step to changing a habit is to become aware of it. Pay attention to your daily routines and identify the behaviors that might be holding you back.
It's about shining a light on those unconscious patterns, bringing them into our conscious awareness so we can start to make different choices.
Once you've identified the habit you want to change, you can start developing a plan to replace it with a more supportive habit.
Canfield suggests breaking down that new habit into small, manageable steps and focusing on consistency rather than perfection.
Right. It's not about trying to change everything overnight. It's about making gradual, sustainable changes that you can stick with over time.
He also emphasizes the importance of having a clear why for changing the habit. Why is this change important to you? What benefits will you gain from adopting this new behavior?
Yeah, that why will provide motivation and help you stay committed when those inevitable challenges arise.
He also introduces this concept of the no exceptions rule, which involves making a 100% commitment to the new habit and sticking to it no matter what.
It might sound extreme, but it's often easier to follow a rule with no exceptions than to try to negotiate with yourself every time you're tempted to revert to the old habit.
So if you've committed to exercising every day, don't allow yourself to make exceptions. Even when you're tired, busy, or traveling, stick to that commitment, and eventually that new habit will become automatic. It's about creating those new neural pathways, rewiring your brain for success.
Now let's talk about being prepared for opportunities. Canfield argues that opportunities are all around us, but we often miss them because we're not prepared to take advantage of them. It's like that saying, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity.
He suggests that preparation involves developing our skills, expanding our knowledge, building relationships, and putting ourselves in the right place at the right time.
He tells the story of Les Brown, who dreamed of becoming a popular disc jockey in Miami.
Okay.
He didn't have any connections or experience, but he started preparing by shadowing his drama teacher, practicing his on-air patter, and seeking out mentors in the radio industry.
So he was basically creating his own opportunities by putting in the work and making himself visible.
Right. His persistence paid off. He landed a job as a gopher at a prominent Miami radio station, which gave him the chance to learn the ropes and eventually get his own show.
It's a great example of how preparation can open doors that might have otherwise remained closed.
Canfield emphasizes that we can't always predict when opportunities will arise.
Right.
But we can increase our chances of being ready for them by continually investing in our personal and professional development.
So what are your dreams and aspirations? What skills or knowledge could you develop to achieve them? What relationships could you cultivate that might open doors for you? What actions could you take today to start preparing for those opportunities?
Now let's talk about something that often gets pushed aside in our busy lives, but is essential for our well-being and our success, taking time for renewal. Canfield argues that we often push ourselves to the limit, neglecting our physical, emotional, and spiritual needs in the pursuit of our goals.
It's like we're running a marathon without taking any breaks, and eventually we hit a wall.
He cautions that this approach is unsustainable in the long run, leading to burnout, exhaustion, and diminished effectiveness.
It's like trying to run a car on an empty tank. Eventually you're going to run out of gas.
He encourages us to schedule regular time for renewal, whether it's a few minutes each day for meditation or a week-long vacation to recharge and reconnect with ourselves.
It's about creating space in our lives to rest, rejuvenate, and replenish our energy. It's about prioritizing our well-being, recognizing that we can't pour from an empty cup.
He suggests creating a renewal plan that includes activities that nourish our mind, body, and spirit. This might include things like exercise, meditation, spending time in nature, reading, listening to music, taking a hot bath, getting a massage, or pursuing creative hobbies.
It's about finding those activities that bring you joy, peace, and a sense of balance, and making them a regular part of your life.
Canfield also encourages us to create boundaries around our work and to prioritize our personal time, recognizing that our well-being is essential for our long-term success.
So what are your favorite ways to renew and recharge? What activities bring you joy, peace, and a sense of balance? How can you schedule those activities into your week to ensure that you're taking care of yourself and replenishing your energy?
Now let's talk about something that can be a challenge for many people asking for support. Canfield argues that we often try to do everything ourselves, believing that asking for help is a sign of weakness or incompetence. But he suggests that this belief is actually a form of pride that can limit our potential and prevent us from achieving our goals.
It's like we're trying to be superheroes, doing it all on our own. But even superheroes need sidekicks sometimes.
He encourages us to shift our perspective on asking for support, viewing it not as a burden on others, but as a way to tap into the collective wisdom and resources of our network.
It's about recognizing that we don't have to do it all alone, that there are people who are willing and able to help us if we just ask.
He reminds us that everyone needs help from time to time, and there's no shame in reaching out for support when we need it. He offers some practical tips for asking for support. Be clear and specific about what you need. Ask the right person for the right kind of support. Express gratitude and appreciation for the help you receive, and be willing to reciprocate and offer support to others when they need it.
He shares a story about a time when he was struggling to write a book proposal. He felt stuck and overwhelmed, and he knew he needed help.
He reached out to a colleague who had experience in writing book proposals and asked for her advice. She was happy to help, and her guidance was instrumental in helping Canfield complete the proposal and land a publishing deal.
It's a great example of how asking for help can open doors and create opportunities that we might have otherwise missed.
So what are you struggling with right now? Who could you ask for support? What would it take to overcome your resistance to asking for help? Remember, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength and wisdom.
Now let's talk about the importance of taking care of our physical health. Canfield argues that our physical well-being is the foundation for our success in all areas of life.
It's like trying to build a house on a shaky foundation. If we're not taking care of our physical health, it's going to affect everything else we do.
He encourages us to prioritize those healthy habits, exercising regularly, eating a nutritious diet, getting enough sleep, and managing stress.
Right. It's not about being perfect or depriving ourselves. It's about making those choices that support our overall well-being.
He also suggests finding a healthcare practitioner who supports our well-being and helps us create a personalized plan for optimal health.
Canfield shares a story about a time when he was feeling sluggish, overweight, and stressed out. He knew he needed to make changes, but he wasn't sure where to start. He consulted a naturopathic doctor who helped him create a personalized plan, and the results were amazing.
He lost weight, felt more energized, and experienced a significant improvement in his overall health and well-being. It's a great example of how taking a holistic approach to our health, addressing not just our physical symptoms, but also our mental, emotional, and spiritual needs, can create profound transformation.
So how are you taking care of your physical health? What healthy habits could you incorporate into your daily routine? What steps could you take to improve your overall well-being?
Canfield encourages us to cultivate a success consciousness, which involves shifting our mindset from scarcity to abundance, from fear to love, and from limitation to possibility.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that we live in an abundant universe and that we have the power to create the reality we desire.
He offers several techniques for developing the success consciousness, including practicing gratitude, visualizing our goals as already achieved, affirming our strengths and capabilities, surrounding ourselves with positive, supportive people, focusing on solutions rather than problems, and taking action despite our fears.
He emphasizes that developing a success consciousness is an ongoing process that requires commitment, consistency, and a willingness to challenge those limiting beliefs. But the more we practice these principles, the more natural and effortless success will become.
So what thoughts and beliefs are you currently holding that might be limiting your potential? What would it take to shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance, from fear to love, and from limitation to possibility?
Canfield then challenges us to step out of our comfort zones and embrace the unknown. He argues that growth and expansion happen outside those comfort zones, where we're challenged to stretch, learn new skills, and overcome our fears.
He encourages us to identify those areas where we've been playing it safe and take calculated risks that move us closer to our goals.
He shares a story about a time when he was terrified to give a speech to a large audience. But he knew it was an opportunity he couldn't pass up. He faced his fear and gave the speech, and to his surprise, he enjoyed the experience and received positive feedback from the audience.
It's a reminder that our fears often hold us back from experiencing some of life's greatest rewards, and by stepping out of our comfort zones, we can unlock our potential and achieve those extraordinary results.
So what are you afraid of doing? What comfort zones have you been clinging to that might be limiting your growth? What would it take to face those fears and take a leap of faith?
Canfield reminds us to celebrate our successes, both big and small. He argues that we often focus on our failures and neglect to acknowledge our accomplishments, which can lead to a lack of motivation and a diminished sense of self-worth.
It's like we're so focused on getting to the destination that we forget to enjoy the journey.
Right. He encourages us to celebrate those wins, acknowledge our efforts, and give ourselves credit for the progress we've made.
It's about pausing to savor those moments of triumph, no matter how small they may seem.
He suggests creating rituals for celebrating our successes, whether it's enjoying a special meal, taking a break to do something you enjoy, or simply reflecting on your accomplishments and feeling a sense of gratitude.
He also encourages us to share our successes with others, as this can help to build momentum and inspire others to achieve their goals.
So what have you accomplished recently that deserves to be celebrated? How can you acknowledge your efforts and give yourself credit for the progress you've made? Who can you share those successes with?
Canfield then introduces the concept of creating a board of advisors, a group of trusted individuals who can offer guidance, support, and accountability as we pursue our goals.
It's like having a personal dream team, people who believe in you, who have your best interests at heart, and who are willing to offer their wisdom and support as you navigate the ups and downs of life.
He suggests that our board of advisors might include mentors, coaches, colleagues, friends, family members, or even spiritual advisors.
It's about surrounding ourselves with people who inspire us, challenge us, and support us in becoming the best versions of ourselves.
He encourages us to choose people who believe in our potential, who have expertise in areas where we need guidance, and who are willing to offer honest and constructive feedback.
Canfield shares a story about a time when he was considering a major career change. He was excited about the opportunity, but he also felt uncertain and apprehensive.
He decided to convene his board of advisors, sharing his thoughts and feelings and asking for their insights and perspectives. Their feedback helped him clarify his goals, identify potential challenges, and develop a plan for moving forward with confidence.
It's a great reminder that we don't have to figure it all out on our own. There are people who care about us and want to see us succeed.
So who are the members of your board of advisors? Who are the people you trust to offer guidance, support, and accountability? If you haven't already created a board of advisors, who could you invite to join yours?
Canfield then encourages us to develop a personal strategic plan for our lives. A roadmap that outlines our goals, our values, our strategies, and our action steps.
Yeah, it's like creating a blueprint for the life you want to build, a guide for making those dreams a reality.
He suggests that creating a personal strategic plan helps us to clarify our vision, identify our priorities, and create a sense of purpose and direction.
It's not about creating a rigid, set-in-stone document. It's about creating a living, breathing plan that evolves as we do.
He recommends revisiting our plan regularly, making adjustments as needed, and celebrating our progress along the way.
It's about breaking down those big, audacious goals into smaller, more manageable steps and focusing on taking consistent action toward our vision.
So what does your personal strategic plan look like? What are your long-term goals? What values do you want to live by? What strategies can you use to achieve your goals? What actions can you take today to start moving toward your vision?
And finally, Canfield reminds us that the journey of success is an ongoing process, not a destination.
Right. It's about embracing the ups and downs, learning from our mistakes, celebrating our victories, and most importantly, enjoying the ride.
He emphasizes the importance of savoring the moments, appreciating the journey itself, not just the outcome.
True success isn't just about achieving our goals. It's about living a life that feels meaningful, fulfilling, and aligned with our deepest values.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into Jack Canfield's success principles. It's been an incredible exploration of the principles, strategies, and mindsets that can help us create a life of purpose, abundance, and fulfillment.
Absolutely. And remember, it's not about trying to do everything at once. It's about choosing one principle that resonates with you and committing to putting it into action this week. What stood out to you? What resonated with you? What sparked your curiosity? What inspired you?
What one small step can you take today to start incorporating these principles into your life? We can't wait to hear about the amazing things you create. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep reaching for your dreams.